Welcome to She's a Full-On Monet, a digital lifestyle magazine for women. Every week, our editor-in-chief, Kelly Castillo, along with Megan Block and special guests, participate in a deep dive discussion about recent articles and topics we have covered. We invite you to become part of our community where everyone's welcome. You can totally sit with us.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to She's a Full-On Monet. I'm your host, Kelly, and I am here as always with Megan.
Hello, hello.
And we, as you can see by Megan's background, we are still in spooky season.
1 week left. I feel like I never fully got to I feel like that every year. I really never fully I feel like now I'm ready to celebrate it. And it's like, I have 7 days until it's Christmas for some people already.
Yes.
It's crazy.
It's definitely Christmas in the stores already. That's for sure.
I know. So this will change. I'm sure within a week, it'll be a whole new thing.
But we welcome you guys, all of you that come back week to week and listen to this podcast. We really appreciate you. And we hope we're providing good content for you. If we are, please tell a friend, rate, review, do all the things, you know how it goes. Helps us tremendously. So today we are going to be talking about food cravings. And I think probably every single person listening to this can relate to food cravings, but we are going to go a little deeper today and talk about some of the vitamin deficiencies and medical conditions that can cause food cravings, as well as just your everyday, Parmesan truffle fry craving.
Yeah, right.
I'm just, for a friend, right? We're asking for a friend, what you can do if you daily crave Parmesan truffle fries.
That's just,
of course I'm not talking about
myself. Do you have a pulse? I think that's just everybody. They're so good.
They're so good. Yeah.
They're so good. Yeah.
So things you can do if you're trying, to eat a more balanced diet and yeah, so this is, I think, something everyone can probably relate to, some more than others. I mean, Megan and I have both experienced pregnancy, and pregnancy cravings are a real thing that happens. So we will also be talking about that, how hormonal changes can cause cravings as well. So yes, let's dive in.
It's a struggle too, I feel, because you want to hit that craving, but then some people with a gluten allergy, they have a really big craving for something, and then 8 hours later, their body is regretting it. So it's just what do you do? So yeah, this is interesting. Let's talk.
I think I really find it interesting too, how individual cravings are, because for me, if we're not talking about anything underlying medically, my cravings are always for baked goods and sweets.
Mm-hmm.
I've really gotten a much better handle on it in the last year, I would say, more than I ever have in my whole life. So that's fantastic. I'm very happy about that. But also, and what I realized was there was some underlying medical stuff going on. I had really bad blood sugar fluctuations. And because I'm not diabetic or pre-diabetic, I never thought to test my own blood sugar. I test my husband's blood sugar all the time, but I never thought to test my own because I don't have those medical conditions. But when I thought, he doesn't have a super high pain threshold. So he would always tell me when I test his blood sugar that, it really hurts, you're hurting me, whatever. So I thought, I'm going to do it to myself and see how painful is this actually. And I pricked my finger and tested my blood, and it was higher than I thought it would be. It was a little higher than normal range. And I thought, wow, let's think about this. What did I just eat? And as I got into a habit of doing that and kind of tracking what I had eaten and how my blood sugar responded, again, no diabetes, not even pre-diabetes, but I realized that I would be craving the sugary, carb heavy foods when my blood sugar was lower. And then they would spike my blood sugar and I would be left feeling groggy, tired later on.
We are the same. We are the same. I feel like I'm listening to myself speak, because I'm the same way. And I just thought I just really dug the pastries, I really, I need chocolate to live every day, or else I am not a nice person. And I'm like, well, maybe it's not me. Maybe it's something going on internally. It's so crazy.
Yeah. I always just said I had a sweet tooth. Oh,
I love how this started by accident. You're like, I'm going to test the pain. Oh, wait, the news of what you got of the result made you actually look further into it. That's so interesting.
Yeah. I thought so too. So, there's my daughter, she consistently craves, both my daughters actually don't have any taste for sweet foods and not even really carbs or baked goods do not tempt them at all. They love spicy foods and super sour foods. So like those Takis and sour gummy worm, like salsa, spicy hot sauce.
I was that way when I was pregnant with Kenzie. I've never had spicy stuff, but I couldn't get enough like slight spice or like sour. And I never cared for sour. It went away when she was born, but during that pregnancy, it was like I needed it. And those were two things I could relate, but it's weird when it's temporary, you know?
Yeah, it is weird. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about today too, is like hormonal imbalances and, natural ones really can mess with your food cravings. Pregnant women are, historically, it's like a joke that pregnant women have cravings for things like pickles and ice cream and like mustard and like really bizarre combinations of foods. And, pregnancy is also a time when your hormones are fluctuating or you have surges of hormones. And you also, a lot of the nutrients that you're absorbing through your diet are going to the baby. So that's why, pregnant women have tooth decay problems. Pregnant women have anemia. There's a lot of things that happen to your body when you're pregnant that I don't think people widely know who have not, birthed a child. It is wild. It is wild. So
I sucked the calcium out of my teeth and I had really bad like dental issues and my teeth were really, really brittle-ish because she was from the inside. She was still inside me. She was like, so, and I had no clue until I was in the situation. I'm like, no one talks about this,
No, they don't. And I had 4 kids in 7 years and I ended up having to have a bunch of root canals, tooth extractions.
Oh, so
I even had bone grafts done in my job.
You were the one that told me like, because I was complaining about mouth and gum pain and you were like, oh, I bet you she's sucking the calcium from your teeth. And I was like, that's a thing? Like, I thought you were kidding.
It's a thing.
You are not.
And that when I went to the dentist right after I had my second child, because I had a crown come off while I was pregnant. And he was like, oh, this is very common. Dentists just know that women who have just had a child, their teeth will usually be really messed up. And it's like, nobody told me to expect that.
What about the other side? The victims. There's so much we really don't know. There's a lot of obvious pregnancy things, but I feel like we regurgitate the same information. We don't ever talk about the real, this is a whole new topic.
No,
but really though,
we could do hours. Yeah, we could do hours on this. And people always tell you, stretch marks, expect that, we all know. To be tired.
What about the calcium being sucked from your teeth and you being in pain, so much pain that it's like unbearable pain that I went through with my mouth that I had no idea that could be a symptom. Not like it would have changed my course of life, but hey, a heads up would have at least given me like a sense of knowledge of why this was happening,
Right.
So anyway, I had no idea that temporary things like that could happen. So this makes total sense that if I was craving certain foods when I was pregnant, it was probably related to something internally and nothing to do with just like, oh, this looks good right now. No, it was my brain had already decided that I needed this spicy food or something like that.
Yeah. And there's a fairly common, it's not horribly unusual, pregnancy complication called pica. And you don't have to be pregnant to have pica. You can, it happens to people sometimes who have autism. It happens to some people with like mental health issues. But it can also happen to children and pregnant women. And in that case, it's usually a vitamin deficiency, but the way it presents, it's called pica, and it's where you crave things that are not actually foods. So you crave, is that my phone?
I don't have a phone.
Okay. I'm like, yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
We're in a rental because we're renovating. So
I was like, how does she not know if it's her?
I don't have
you had me convinced for a second I might have owned a phone. And I'm like, I've never owned a phone.
No, we are renovating our house. So we are in a rental house right now. And
okay.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's only been it's been 2 weeks, but a week of that, my husband was in the hospital, right? So it's been about a week and we're still figuring out everything. So I apologize for that. I did not realize there was a phone in here. Okay. So pica is when you crave things that are not actually food. So when I was pregnant with Samantha, I craved horrible cravings for ice chips. So I would get crushed bags. My husband would go to the store and buy bags of crushed ice. And I found out, I think at Smart and Final, they had bags of crushed ice that were lemon flavored. Oh my God.
No way.
I
Bizarre.
consumed those like a bag a day. I would have a giant cup of ice chips with me everywhere I went. And it was actually causing a lot of damage to my teeth.
Yeah.
A lot of wear and tear on the sharpness of my teeth, I guess, like wearing them down. And my doctor told me this is actually common in pregnant women. It usually signals an iron deficiency. And you're actually lucky because a lot of women crave eating dirt, like potting dirt.
No.
Yeah.
That's really weird.
Yeah. And so he said it can
Really?
present as a craving for dirt, which is the most common. Ice chips.
Most common over ice chips.
Ice chips.
Going into their yard and grabbing a cup of dirt before going and getting ice.
It's a craving. Or also it can present as a craving for chalk or coins. Like you put metal coins in your mouth, which is dirty. No, don't do that. If you're craving doing that, just don't. Just find something else to do because that's disgusting.
Do you know how much your money has just been through so much? They say it's actually cleaner to lick a toilet seat than it is to like lick your hands after holding money.
Because the hands are one of the dirtiest places on our bodies.
And we're transferring
everything. Yes. And then so many people have touched those coins with their germy hands that they've touched all kinds of other unmentionable things on with it. Do not put those in your mouth.
Yeah, please, people. I don't care what you crave. Don't do that. I put dirt in your mouth before putting coins. But yeah, that's wow. So that means something. And it's called pica.
It's called pica. It can be strictly like a mental health issue, or it can be a sign of usually iron deficiency.
So you just increase your iron and see if that craving calms down.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
And I mean, certain other things happen during pregnancy. I would have this weird symptom, and it only happened at night when I was in bed, where my toes would like seize up and get stuck in kind of like a claw position.
Mm-hmm. That means of like a potassium deficiency.
Yeah. Well, my doctor told me calcium deficiency to have a glass of milk before bed to try to alleviate that. So, I mean, it was like, it's the weirdest thing that you've ever experienced. Like your toes are clenched and you can't physically unclench them. Bizarre.
It's bizarre. It's and a little freaking crazy to feel because you feel like your immediate response in your brain is to try and fix it because it's so unnatural. And then when you can't, you're like, am I this way forever? Like
I was using my fingers to pry apart my toes. And then I was like, I'm going to have claw feet for the rest of my life.
And it hurts
too. Person now.
Like, it hurts too.
Yeah, it's very painful.
Yeah. So your brain just doesn't know how to handle all of this feeling at once. And it's a freaky thing. So things they don't tell you.
If you have been on the fence about having a child in your own body, I'm sorry if we are freaking you out right now. I really apologize.
Between a handful of our podcast episodes, we may be turning the world against
motherhood.
Children.
Yeah. Natural motherhood is a beautiful thing. My kids are the best thing I've ever done in my life, but man, pregnancy was nuts. It was like having a pod person, you know?
Yeah. I hate saying this. And I'm going to tell people I've been through the trenches. I had a miscarriage and I know what it's like to try and have a baby. I know the miracle that is being pregnant. Right.
Yes.
Hated it both times. Hated it all the times I was pregnant. Hated every single step of it. I did not like it. I don't understand people who can be pregnant forever. Freaks me out.
Oh, my sister loved being pregnant. She had this cute little tiny pregnant belly. And from the back, you can even tell she was pregnant. And she would just be like talking about how much she was glowing and felt the best she'd ever felt. And her hair was all long and beautiful. And I was miserable every single time. And I don't have all
my favorite things. It's so not, I don't get how people do it for other people. I bless them because
I would do it for my daughters, but I don't think I would do it for anyone else.
Love makes you do crazy things, but I hated it. I didn't like it. I didn't like also the newborn stage either. If you could just give me my kid at like 6 months, it's the best decision I've ever made.
I loved the newborn stage, but the pregnancy stage, I could have skipped the whole thing.
It was the sleep deprivation for me. I couldn't handle the sleep deprivation. And then when I had Emma, it's such like when you have your first child, because you had a child so young, when you have your first child, it's such a change in what your life used to be that almost you're just like, dang, I wish I could just go back to like taken a nap when I wanted to. You know what I mean?
See,
like,
I never had that because I had my kids really early. I've had kids my entire adult life. Like,
so
I didn't have any comparison to make. And I had all that energy that normally if I didn't have kids, I would probably been out in the club, like dancing till 2 a.m. and then go home, sleep for 3 hours, go to work. Instead of doing that, I stayed up with babies at night.
People.
Yeah. But, I had all this energy. If I tried to do it now, oh, hell no, I couldn't. No way. I need my sleep. I'm an old lady, but like back then I was like, yeah, this is fine. I don't need to sleep. Like whatever, we'll pull an all-nighter.
I wouldn't be sleeping anyway. Might as well raise a person,
right?
I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah. I didn't like the pregnancy stage. I didn't like how I couldn't eat my favorite things. And then like I needed to eat certain, like I just forget about it.
I ate so much salad. I gave up Diet Coke. I was just like,
but now we're getting older and now my diet is kind of reminiscent of what it was like to be pregnant. I have to increase my fiber and I have to decrease my red
I'm back
meat.
to the pregnancy diet. I've given up Diet Coke again for good this time.
We're pregnant forever now. It's cool.
Yeah. And I'm eating salads and wheat bread and things like that.
Checking your blood sugar on purpose.
My blood sugar because I'm just trying not to have, crippling medical problems when I'm
trying not to die. Just trying not to die at this point. Not even thinking of what the person growing in me anymore. Just trying not to die.
Trying to be here and healthy for as long as I can. And
that's
to
what
just
makes
feel
this
good.
so hard is because like I crave certain things at nighttime and I crave them to the point where I'm like, if I don't have some sort of like, I really love toast at night. Like I like to put peanut butter and jelly onto it like every night, like religiously, or I need to have like a piece of chocolate. It's either a bread or a sweet. And if I don't have it, like I go to bed like feeling like like I didn't finish my day right, and I do it every night. And I'm like, am I doing this because it tastes good and I like it and it's like whatever, or am I doing it because there's some imbalance going on inside of me and that's what I'm craving and I need to figure out what that means, because it's every night. It's never anything other. It's never a spicy thing. It's never like a savory thing. It's always the same sort of things. But
so
weird.
Let's break down what some of these food cravings mean. And I think that will help the people listening as well as you and I to figure out if we actually might have some underlying thing, or perhaps, I think for me, there was some blood sugar issues going on, but also there are certain foods that are my comfort foods.
Mm-hmm.
And also those same foods happen to be my reward foods.
Mm-hmm.
So if I've eaten super healthy all day long, at night, I'll be like, I did so good today. I'm going to have some Ben and Jerry's or like, it's a reward. But also if I've had if it's been a really crappy day, if it's like a no bones day, I don't know if you are following that plug on TikTok. If it's like a no bones day and everything went wrong, then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have this because it's the least I can do for myself on this bad day. And I'll have this macaroni and cheese, or I'll have this muffin or whatever, it's always carbs or sugar for me.
Mm-hmm. Same. And I'm like, is it because come on, we earned it regardless of what's going on internally, but is there something that I need to increase more of, get a different vitamin for, be more aware of? Because I don't want to, I don't know. I just don't want to put myself in a health condition, I know those foods are not good for me regardless, but are they really, really not good for me personally, individually,
So like by monitoring my blood sugar, I learned that if I eat a balanced diet with like healthy carbs and healthy fats, my blood sugar wouldn't fluctuate so much. And then the cravings, I wouldn't have them as badly. Mm-hmm. So now the cravings, if I have them, are pretty much purely emotional. And that's happening less and less. But the cravings that I used to have were like every day I wanted a chocolate croissant, or that you used to get them for me.
I think this is how this began. Not or like, but I was like, yes, a chocolate croissant. And like in the mornings, I'm like that too. In the mornings, I think I also give an emotion to it when my body gets triggered. Like if I'm gonna get an iced coffee, it always sometimes is paired with like a chocolate croissant or something like that. Or if I'm like, dude, I've killed it this morning, I'm gonna get myself an iced coffee and a chocolate croissant. Or, oh, I've had a crappy morning. It's triggered in the morning with a croissant, which will also pair with a coffee, or at night when everything is calmed down. So I'm like,
So in the morning, my go-tos used to be either toast. So like even cinnamon toast sometimes, or just toast with butter and jam. Or I would have cereal, and it wasn't like, fiber one. It was like,
let's be honest. It was not.
Frosted Flakes is a big favorite in this house, or frosted shredded wheat. Also there's a golden graham, like s'more blend that is absolutely insanely amazing. So I would have cereal in the morning, and then I would be hungry again by like 10:30, 11:30. And I'm like, this isn't working. So I started forcing myself to eat protein for breakfast, or if I'm really craving something sweet, I'll make a fruit smoothie, but I stay away from the breads and cereals. And now I'm not hungry for lunch until like sometimes 1:32. So I just feel better overall. I have more energy, and it lasts longer for me. I can get more done without snacking.
Cause it's not a full breakfast. Let's be honest.
No, it's not.
It's not a full breakfast. I always eat an egg, cause I always work out in the morning anyway. And if I were to show up at the gym with a nice coffee and a croissant inside me, I'd die. But if I wasn't going to the gym and I was just purely making my own organic decision, that would be it. And then in an hour, I would be like so hangry and just like all over the place. Do you suffer from a gluten allergy at all?
No.
That's good, because I know that's a very common thing, and people will, like my husband, for instance, he loves certain foods, but he suffers a gluten allergy. So like he'll eat it anyway, but then like his body will reject that later. So it's like, what do you do when your cravings also are really being like, when it's not subtle, like you and me were like, is there a problem? When you're very obvious and aware there's a problem, yet you ignore it anyway.
Both of my daughters have intolerances with dairy, and they will get a craving for something really cheesy, like pizza or like mac and cheese, or, I mean, what do you do? Right. So they try to do dairy substitutes. They found some good ones, and sometimes that will do the trick, but sometimes your body is just like, no, give me all the cheeses.
Oh my gosh. If you're gonna do it, but also you also are like on the other side going like, I really regret that choice, because it really hurts your inside sometimes.
Oh yeah, they will spend the rest of the day sick to their stomach and like laying in bed in a ball.
But sometimes, man, that 5 cheese mac and cheese on the menu is like undescribable.
Sometimes they decide it's worth it. Yeah, but I think for a lot of us, the cravings are emotional, and they are comfort foods, and our comfort foods might be completely different. It might be something that you ate growing up that is kind of your go-to. It might be something that is like your little secret indulgence. Everybody's different. They did a really interesting study at the University of San Francisco where they put rats in a high stress environment. And then they had rats in like a regular environment, and the rats in the high stress environment chose fatty and sugary foods. When healthy food was available, like the same food, all the foods were available to both sets of rats, and the stressed out rats went straight for the carbs and sugar and fats. So, I mean,
when I'm stressed out, and this too, I feel like my caffeine intake increases as well. And that really messes with, like, I'm talking about like the iced coffees and stuff like that. And that almost exacerbates my cravings more, because I'm like, everything is all more heightened.
Right.
But I know every time I'm doing it, as I feel like as we get older, we know we want to be healthy and we want to live long, healthy lives, but we're also very aware of everything we're doing and wondering if that is not even like, oh, am I looking fat? You're like, is it affecting my heart? Like, I had no idea how many things that I intake every day are just affecting my heart. And I'm like, oh, I'm at that age where I have to think about that now,
right.
So it's like, are your cravings really like destroying your body, not just what you look like, not just like your body fat percentage, but also like your kidneys, your heart, your liver, this.
Yeah. I would tell anyone, I mean, as I know for me, I'm such a good advocate for my kids. I'm a terrible advocate sometimes for myself. So I think moms, sometimes we do put ourselves on the back burner, and I would encourage anyone listening to this. If you haven't had a full like checkup, workup with your doctor in a while, if it's been a year or more, you definitely need to go do that. Have them run a full blood panel, have them do all their, tests that they do on a standard workup. And it will tell you if you have inflammation. It will tell you if you're dehydrated. It will tell you if you're lower on certain vitamins and minerals that your body needs. There's a lot of things that you can find out from like regular fasting blood work that is so important information. And, a lot of times our doctors will just kind of say, oh, I looked over your blood work. Everything looks good. Ask for a copy and like read it yourself and see anything that's listed on the blood work that's not within normal range. Because doctors, if it's close to normal range, will usually be like, it's not a concern, but if you regularly come back with high inflammation, you can eat anti-inflammatory foods, and that will help a lot. If you regularly come back with like C-reactive proteins or problems, it shows if you have starting to have heart issues. It'll show if you're not drinking enough water. Like there's a lot of stuff you can tell that you can tweak your diet, because maybe it's not a concern right now, but you're on that path. You're on that path to pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes. You're on that path to heart disease. You're on that path. Maybe your cholesterol is just slightly elevated, or you have those inflammation markers or something like that. And I mean, we all know what we're supposed to do. We all know.
Exactly.
We're supposed to drink more water. None of us is drinking enough. I mean, it doesn't matter how much you're drinking, is probably not enough. We know we need to eat proteins and healthy fats in order to feel good for the whole day and to feel sated for the whole day. We know we need to have healthy carbs. We know we have to get enough sleep. That's a huge one. We all need to get enough sleep and try to lower our stress levels. So if we can do those, I know those are, when I say that, I hear myself saying that and I think that sounds impossible. But if we try to do something
as close to ideal as possible, if we tell you to drink 8 glasses and you only drink 3, well, maybe if you didn't hear that over and over, you may have drank 0. You know what I mean? So it's like, you get as close to as perfect, but no one's perfect.
No one's perfect. And you're going to have good days and bad days. But if your goal is to get closer to these goals, drinking enough water, getting enough sleep, eating food that fuels your body, and trying to lower your stress level, maybe you can't completely lower your stress level because of factors in your life that you can't control, but you can maybe start meditating or doing yoga or something that will help balance out your stress, or journaling, or whatever works for you. Everyone's different.
If you just start drinking more water, like, I mean, I personally have done that article that we did not too long ago about drinking more water for a week, and how it changes so much of how you react to stress, and it also changes a lot of what you put food wise in your body.
Well, and I will also say, because we are all vain individuals, if you drink enough water, your skin looks amazing. Your hair grows faster, your nails grow faster. There's like a water retention puffiness that actually comes from not drinking enough water. Your body's trying to retain what it can.
Yeah.
And your digestion is better. Your tummy's flatter, like all those vain things that we shouldn't care about, but we do. Drink the water, girls, like do it. It's so good for you. Making sure that your body is properly fueled. I know when I'm tired and when I'm run down is when I'm probably most susceptible to giving into cravings and eating things I know aren't long-term going to help me fix the problem.
Artificial, like little Band-Aids.
Quick fix, like coffee
is like I'm drinking right now. An iced coffee is a total Band-Aid. Like
candy, sugar, carbs. Yeah.
It's really your body is just like, I need energy. And then it's not really like I need the chocolate. It's saying I need energy. And it's a Band-Aid because it's not really what it needs, and it will fix it for a minute and then you'll just crash,
Yes. And I'm oh my gosh, I'm guilty of laying in bed at night when I know I should be trying to sleep and scrolling on my phone. So I'm working on that, because getting enough sleep for me is crucial to feeling good and to making good decisions for that day. Whether or not I want to go for a long walk, do my yoga, eat right, has a lot to do with whether or not I slept the night before enough. So let's dive into cravings. So if you are a person who craves salty foods, French fries, potato chips, just extra salt on all your food, you could be dehydrated. It sounds counterintuitive because we know that salt will dehydrate you, but for some reason, when you are dehydrated, your body craves sodium. So it could also be a calcium or B vitamin deficiency. So if that is a regular craving for you and it's not, you're wondering whether it's emotional or a comfort food, maybe get those things checked. Just start by trying to drink a lot more water and see if that kind of alleviates it a little bit. If not, you might want to have your calcium or B vitamin levels checked. B vitamin deficiency is really common.
Yeah.
So taking a B vitamin supplement or going to your pharmacy and getting B vitamin shots is something that a lot of people do because it gives you energy. It makes you feel better. So get your B vitamin levels checked. It's a common thing to be deficient on.
Okay.
If you crave carbs and sugar and chocolate, that is both of us. You could have low blood sugar or overly fluctuating blood sugar, which was me. You could also have a magnesium or chromium deficiency. So sometimes when we crave carbs, our body's craving fiber. So a lot of the problem with that is that the carbs we reach for are generally the ones who are lacking in fiber. We're not all reaching for brand cereals and Metamucil.
Mine's like the whitest bread ever. It's like there's nothing in there.
It's Wonder Bread, baby, all day. Like I'm not going for the Ezekiel bread when I'm eating.
I love sourdough toast. I don't eat anything.
Oh, sourdough's so good.
That's all I eat. I don't know what else there is. I know there's other things with like multigrains in it. I don't touch that stuff because that's not what I'm there for.
I have also heard that magnesium deficiency is super common, especially in women, and it can be related to hormone imbalances or hormone changes. So if you have PMS, if you are pregnant or just recently had a baby, that's when you have surges of hormones. If you're going through menopause or you're premenopausal, that, by the way, can happen in a huge fluctuation of age. So most people, when they think menopause, they think, I don't know, 50s maybe, but it's just as much as it varied when you got your first period, which is girls can get their first period when they're 9 or they could be 16.
Yeah, that's crazy.
When you're a kid, between 9 and 16 is a massively large amount of time.
Yeah.
So when you're older, people go through premenopause in their late 30s sometimes, and all the way up into late 50s. So that's like a 20-year range where your hormones might be just fucking with you.
Oh gosh.
So yes, magnesium deficiency, hormone fluctuations can cause cravings for chocolate, because chocolate's super high in magnesium, especially dark chocolate, carbs and sugar. So having your hormones checked or doing an at-home hormone check, which you can do through like companies like Everlywell and places like that, where you can buy, I see them at the counter at my pharmacy. I think they're designed for people who are trying to get pregnant and want to know if their body has safe hormone levels. But it seems like it's a fairly straightforward, like finger prick test. Again, don't take my word for it. I haven't done one. I probably should, since I'm in my mid 40s.
And we like chocolate and carbs.
Yeah. My sister is older than me. And she has told me she's been having some symptoms. So it's for the last few years. So I'm probably like looking right at it. So I should probably get my hormone levels checked. Because those are the times of your life when you might consider things like hormone supplements or changing your diet, or just lots of things can happen at the same time. And it's good to know what your body is going through. If you crave coffee and tea, like all day long,
all the categories. I'm so deficient.
Do you feel attacked? Do you feel attacked right now?
I feel deficient is what I feel like. I need to just stop everything and get all the kits and just prick away my fingers and figure out what's going on. Cause like,
if you haven't had your checkup, done a full blood work, you got to do it, girl. Cause coffee and tea cravings, if you crave them all day, like I have 2 cups of coffee in the morning and then I don't want coffee for the rest of the day.
One strong iced coffee and I milk that all day long.
Okay.
I don't know. Not because like I don't get to it, but it's like, I like Vietnamese coffee, you know, with like over condensed milk. But then like, I don't drink like a full thing of coffee and then call it a day. I kind of like drink it throughout the day.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's solving a craving all day long.
I like that hot coffee in the morning because the hot drink and the caffeine wakes me up and gets me kind of feeling good morning-ish, you know?
Yeah.
But then the coffee sounds disgusting to me for the rest of the day.
Really?
So go figure.
You're not like an iced coffee person?
Not at all. But my daughters and my sons, cold brew in the fridge at all times, and
no matter the temperature, it doesn't, like some people it's like it could be snowing and they are getting in their car to go to Starbucks to get like an iced coffee.
Yeah, I actually bought Colin and Gabby both cold brew makers for their fridge because they were going broke buying cold brew, and it's crazy. Yeah,
cold brew, huh?
Coffee and tea cravings can mean that you are deficient in sulfur and or iron. So that's another iron one.
Iron deficiency sounds pretty accurate, actually.
Yeah. A lot of women from, puberty to menopause are iron deficient because monthly, blood loss is an iron loss. And it is a very normal thing. I know there's a condition that runs in my family called hemochromatosis. And it's a condition where blood builds up. Your iron builds up in your blood and you can't regulate it. Your body's not absorbing the iron the way that it should.
Really?
So, but women who are in, the childbearing years and have like their monthly period, they don't have the symptoms because their body is shedding iron naturally. But when they hit menopause, then they start having serious issues with the hemochromatosis. They may have never known they had it because they had this like natural shedding of iron. But, and the only way to really resolve that is to go in and have like bloodletting, have them like clean your blood. So
is there stuff in the caffeine or the tea or the coffee that's like fixing or like that's solving this feeling inside of deficiency?
Yeah, I don't know. And
That's crazy.
I read that and I wrote it down to talk about today, but I have never heard of someone being deficient in sulfur.
That's so weird.
Really strange. And I know there are like sulfur based antibiotics and stuff, but I didn't even know we were supposed to have like sulfur
a certain
in our
amount
body.
where you could be deficient and some of it. Interesting. Okay.
Go figure. But
what if you just have two kids under the age of like 9 and like hasn't stopped since like Bill Clinton was in office? Then
you're dangerously deficient on something called sleep.
I'm just deficient in babysitters and sleep and health. That's okay. That's that's what I'm gonna call it.
You're sleeping, but you're also listening for anybody moving around, having a bad dream,
or no moving around. That we know is worse than all the movement. Movement means you're alive. Okay.
Yes.
Anyway,
I have finally gotten to the age with my kids where they don't even live with me anymore. So I'm not sleep deficient because of them. Now I'm sleep deficient because my husband's having major issues sleeping.
Yeah, you're like,
and also
person now.
One of our dogs is getting, into his older years, and he's starting to have a hard time holding his potty all night.
Oh gosh, are you like newborn status?
Yeah, he gets like, I think he has like old man prostate problems as a dog. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he starts to get really whimpery. And he won't wake me up, but he's like sitting by the bedroom door and like panting and whimpering.
It wakes you up.
It wakes me, and I take him out and he goes potty, he feels much better. If for some reason I do not wake up, he'll have an accident. So it's not his fault. Like he's an
I get it. Man. I put a diaper on my dog.
I remember
like a while. Okay. Cause he was so old and he had major issues that were but he wasn't his fault, but did it make the situation any more fun? No.
And I could diaper this dog. I mean, maybe it will get there eventually, but keep in mind he is 130 pounds.
You cannot diaper this dog. And my dog was 20 pounds. Okay.
He's the size of a large man.
Little bear. Yeah. We're not talking about Moosh. We're talking about a different dog here. So.
No, I would need to buy like adult men's Depends and like cut a hole for the tail.
And cut a hole for the tail. That's what I bought regular size diapers, but we did have to cut a hole for the tail. Yeah. Not okay, but by the way, when they still go to the bathroom, it's not like it's still like if you were it's like if you were diapering a furry baby butt. Okay, that's worse.
Oh, and he's so furry.
Yeah, for those of you don't diaper that. No.
For those of you who have not seen a picture of my dog, he is German Shepherd, Chow Chow, Husky, and Samoyed mix. So he is extremely floofy.
So super bald.
It's like a big square floof potato. And he's got a little chonk because, he's the goodest boy. He can't help
winter weight
the treats. Yeah. All year round weight.
Well, when you have the floof, it's like, who cares about a couple extra pounds? No one's going to notice really.
People come up to him and they pet him because they think it's all floof. And then they feel his like solid body underneath.
Oh yeah. No.
Solid. And they're like, oh, he's a big boy. And I'm like, yeah. We don't body shame him.
Do you have a doggy door in your normal place where he can just go in and out, or is this a permanent?
Humongous. The thing is, the doggy door would be the burglar door because he's the size of a man. So
that's true. So I'm thinking like Beethoven trying to take himself out, like the big dog.
Yeah.
You're right. You can't put a doggy door for him. So this is just now your life.
Well, when we're at home on our bigger property, I do leave one of the doors open for him during the day so he can come and go as he wants.
But at nighttime,
at night, we have a door from our bedroom that leads out to the yard, and I don't keep it open. But if he's doing that whining thing, all I have to do is open the door and go back to bed. But we're in a rental house now with no yard because we're on the beach. It's like no yard at all. So I have to walk him.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. And he, we're totally off topic now, but
he's
starting to get like, he's starting to get like those prostate problems where he's an old man and he has some leaking issues. So I need to get him one of those belly bands. Have you seen those?
Mm-hmm.
I got to get him like a super extra large one if they have. And, because he'll lay down to take a nap and then he gets up and there's like little dribbles. So I don't mind it. He's my baby. We'll clean up after him for the rest of his life.
You don't have actual children in your house anymore, but you are still have like a newborn or a puppy, like, you know, those like brand new puppies when they're like weeks old and you have to like, there's team no sleep for that, you know?
Yeah. Then this going potty in the middle of the night thing and not being able to hold it through the night is a new thing. Like the last 6 months, it's not always been that way. We don't know how old he is because we got him from the shelter, but they think he's maybe around 8, and big dogs for big dogs. That's old. For that size of a dog. I mean, that's old. So that's the
thing is cravings can really drive when you're sleep deprived too. I remember when I had the newborn at home, I was just eating whatever felt right at that exact moment because what is life right now? And who's going to tell me what? I'm leaking from all kinds of places and I'm never sleeping. I'm going to eat a whole thing of cookie dough at 2 a.m. if that's what life is calling for. But then I'm like, that's not how, because that totally messes up your body. You know, really, really, truly does. Even if your body could handle it and you're in your 20s, you're teaching yourself eating habits that are eventually going to catch up to you. Because when you hit your mid 30s and you're still eating emotionally, or just giving into these cravings that you're unaware of, you know, I think you should still get these tests done when you're like crazy healthy, because it changes, right? What you are, what your body's like in its 20s is not like what it is in its 40s. So you need to constantly be on the lookout for this stuff.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why that annual checkup and blood work is so important, because when everything's going great, you have a baseline to compare it to. So as you age, especially if you stay with the same doctors or you keep your records, you'll see, you know, how things are changing, and you can get in front of things before they're a major problem.
Because you could handle gluten when you're 15, but maybe when you hit 25, all of a sudden you start to get really bloated after dinner and you don't know why. Well, maybe if you took these, you know, and you noticed that, you could have kind of started to like wean it off before you really start to get upset internally.
I think it's natural too for all of us, like you said, to indulge when we're in survival mode. If you're going through a major life change, you know, a divorce, a cross-country move, new baby, any major life change, it's going to be really natural to turn to your comfort foods, and that's okay. You have to be patient with yourself and give yourself grace for that. But at the same time, if you're also not sleeping, if you have a lot of stress, you need to be thinking about what will actually make you feel physically better.
If you're literally if you're literally going before you go to bed every night, like for me, for example, and getting a piece of toast or whatever, and putting peanut butter or whatever it is, and then waking up in the morning and feeling like crap every single day and doing it methodically, then you're doing something to your body, or your body is telling you something that you need to be in tune. That's what we're really talking about. Not like, oh, you had a crappy season, oh, you had a crappy week, or you had a crappy day. It's like, if you're doing something every day and you're kind of aware that it's not kosher with your body, then there's going to be a certain point where you just can't ignore it anymore.
Yeah. We all need to listen to our bodies, and we need to take as good care of ourselves as we take of the people that we love. I take exceptional care of my kids. I take exceptional care of my partner. But when it comes to myself, sometimes
we're like dump trucks. We're like, whatever, just throw it all in there.
Yeah. I'll ignore symptoms for weeks. I'll keep reaching for Advil PM instead of asking myself, why am I not sleeping? So, you know, be a good advocate for yourself. Take care of yourself.
Are there certain foods that can keep you from sleeping naturally, falling asleep naturally too?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, caffeine, obviously sugar. You could be having a sugar spike. You could be drinking caffeine late in the day. There are things that you might be consuming that have caffeine that you aren't thinking about, like teas or iced teas, chocolate. There's a lot.
Has that little surge of caffeine that is keeping you up that extra couple hours that you're like, why am I not falling asleep? You know?
Yeah. I've noticed as I've gotten older, I can't eat too late, because if I can't fall asleep comfortably if I feel really full. So we tend to eat dinner earlier and give me some time to digest my food, and I feel more comfortable when I lay down to sleep at night. And also just like watching my portions for my evening meal because I'm not going to have time to like burn it off or digest it properly.
You don't snack at nighttime, huh?
Well, it depends. Like if we're watching a movie, like if we're down in the movie room watching a movie, I'll have
you snack with intention
or little snacks.
You don't snack subconsciously for feeling's sake.
No, I don't. I've really worked on removing those things from my life because they just weren't serving me.
That's great. That takes like serious maturity, because to some people it's okay, but to some people that's literally all they have, and they're like, you're telling me that I have to.
And I mean, I won't say that it was all willpower either. When I realized that my blood sugar was fluctuating so extremely based on my poor diet, I did things to change my diet. I started journaling, not just my food, but how I felt after what I ate and what cravings I was having that day. I kept like a health journal. How I slept.
Awake to how you were consuming things in your body.
For a while I did that with no specific goal. What did I eat? How did I feel afterwards? How stressful was my day? How much was I sleeping? Whatever else was going on in my life, I kept track of all of that. And then I watched for patterns. So that helped me figure it out. And part of this was because like when COVID started, I was being super unhealthy, just indulging a lot. I thought it was going to be so temporary. We all were. Right. But my weight spiked up. I didn't feel good. I wasn't sleeping well. And I was like, I got to figure this out. Like we can't continue like this. This is crazy. So I kept a journal. You know, as you get older, it gets harder to get back on track when things go off track. And, I wanted to make sure like I'm not going to end up with having joint issues or ending up with diabetes or one of these issues, because I did start to see that blood sugar fluctuation. So I had started taking a medication that normally they give to people who have blood sugar problems, and it's called metformin. A lot of people take it for longevity of life, and it's also supposed to help like remove some of the sugar from your blood, which helps prevent cancers, things like that. So my doctor said, you know what, you don't have anywhere near diabetes, but I'm going to give this to you kind of preventatively. And let's see how your body responds to having less sugar in your blood, because it pulls sugar out of your blood. So I started taking metformin twice a day, preventatively, which there's some controversy to that, but this was a decision I made for myself. And I noticed right away, cravings started to fall off. I lost I lost a little bit of weight without too much effort. And I started feeling like I had more control over making those healthy choices for myself, because I wasn't driven by such like,
you were more in control
in my blood sugar. Yeah. I was making decisions on what would make me feel good for that day, instead of like, I need this.
I need that, because honestly, I'm in the kitchen and I'm like, I know that if I just, like wet the end of a strawberry and dip it in a little bit of natural cane sugar, it's just as rewarding as like eating that piece of candy. But like, I go for the candy, even though I'm aware that like there's a better sugar alternative at my disposal. I still can't bring myself to make that better choice. I think that's just general maturity.
Yeah. Well, and
I just need to grow up. That's all.
I'm trying to be real with all you guys. I'm not going to say like, oh, I quit Diet Coke cold turkey and I gave up sugar and I stopped snacking. Just so easy peasy. No, I did have help. I did not just like, I had some pharmaceutical help, and
don't buy the stuff if you're really trying to make that choice. That's the first thing they say. It's just don't put it in your house to even be tempted by, because then I don't know, that's easier said than done too. Swiss cakes make it on my Target drive up roll more times than not, because like I just like I feel like I earned it next Wednesday when I'm really bad at this. And so I feel like you just need to be mature about your body and prioritize it over whatever that French fry makes you feel. Cause it's
right. And one of the other things that I did that helped a lot was, once I did that journaling and I figured out like, okay, what's affecting what, and how is this all working together? Then I had ordered, like a meal delivery service, for a short period of time, so that I didn't have to make any of those decisions. I just ate literally what they gave me. I prefer one called Model Meals. It's super good. And they just started shipping nationwide. So you guys, we're not sponsored by them or anything, but go check that out.
Are these
They make
things where they're already made, ready to go? It's not where you have to prep it yourself. And
nope, you just heat it up. And I will tell you right now, they don't have them every week, but when they do have, their sweet potato nachos are life changing.
Model meals.
Model meals. They're like, everything is gluten-free, dairy-free. And they're kind of plant forward, but they're not plant-based at all. I mean, like they have meat. They have lots of meat on their menu, but it's like, you also have a good variety of fruits.
They serve lots of different types of diets.
Yes, absolutely.
That's really cool.
So I ordered like a couple weeks worth of those meals just so I wouldn't be having to make any decisions. And then I kept that same journal to see how my body felt if that's what I ate that day. Mm-hmm. And it was impossible for me to ignore because it was so obvious. Like I feel so much better when I eat this way. So
isn't that sucky? I'm the same way. And when you get on a roll and then you get off that path and then you start to notice that you're getting yourself into those bad habits again, it's like, how do you get back on that path? Cause man, it's like, it's such a great feeling when you're on that side and, you know, to stay on that side. Cause all it takes is one bad day at work sometimes for some people, or getting let go unexpectedly for their good decisions to just completely fall, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I absolutely think that when you're having one of those days, it's okay. It's okay to go off, you know, the rails a little bit if that's what you feel like is going to make you feel better for that day. But when it becomes like this daily pattern,
when it becomes a season, also,
and it's not helping you. It's not, you're feeling worse when you are, and you're not being an advocate and doing things that are best for you and who you want to be and where you want to be. That's when you make those like different decisions. Mm-hmm. But for everyone, that's a totally individual thing.
It's I'm not telling from time to time, but yeah,
what I did. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I did. That worked for me. I've been able to maintain that kind of eating. I do, like, if my husband and I are out to eat and we want to get dessert, I get dessert. I don't worry about it. If I want to get, mac and cheese, I get mac and cheese, but I'm not eating that way every single day anymore. Mm-hmm. And I'm seeing a big difference. Mm-hmm. I've seen a huge difference in my body. I mean, we're
talking about those consistent daily cravings that are not serving you. If you're the type that eats like a really amazing salad every night, keep that craving up, sister. But we're talking about the people that like need to have like something made by Hostess every single night, and it's not serving them.
Exactly. If you're craving, cauliflower or something, like go do
it. Keep it up. This is not for you.
This is not that. We're on a different journey over here.
If you had one bad meal or a couple bad meals or a week of bad meals, this also isn't for you. We're talking about the compulsive decision to make these decisions based on whatever craving and however it's coming about.
I need to say this for anyone listening who doesn't know me, like up until just a few years ago, maybe like 3-4 years ago, I drank Diet Coke from the time I woke up in the morning till the time I went to bed at night. And my diet was deplorable. Like everything I love to eat, you could buy at a 7-Eleven. Like I would eat things throughout the day, like cereal for breakfast almost every morning, or frozen waffles, not the Nutri-Grain ones either. I would eat Hot Pockets. I would eat like slices of pizza, like everything was processed. I
eat all the things I tell my kids they're crazy to ask me to eat at that time while I'm popping it in the I'm like, you crazy? You can't have a waffle right now. I'm eating a waffle right now. Like we do that though. We take such good care of the loved ones, but when it comes to ourselves, we're just like, no.
Right. And for the longest time of my life, I could do that. And I wasn't,
we could all get away with it. I wasn't for a while.
I wasn't super overweight. I didn't have any health issues. I had enough energy to get through my day. I felt okay. But as I got older, I started seeing, my partner has some health issues that he struggles with, and it comes directly from him not taking care of himself for many years, and having too much stress and a poor diet. And so I watched that and I said, you know what, I'm seeing him do this to himself. And I want, I don't want to have to deal with that when I'm at his age. No shame on him. He recognizes it completely and he's made a lot of progress. But, there was a period of time where he was working so much and he was the last priority on his list, like it happens to a lot of us. So I also started noticing that, I was having, a little, not joint pain, but I was a little creakier than I had been before, and things were popping and stuff when I would get up, like my knees would be popping, my back. And I was like, okay, this shouldn't happen yet. I'm only in my 40s.
Because here's the thing is our diet is often paired with poor posture. We don't always I
have terrible posture,
take care of ourselves. So we're literally like aging ourselves like into this state of like in our 20s to 30s, just because we're just
I definitely wasn't getting enough vitamins because there would go whole days where I didn't eat a lot of fruits and vegetables.
And we weren't popping multivitamins in our system.
Absolutely not. I would be, on the all carb diet all day long. And I could do that without seeing immediate repercussions, but I'm sure there would be long-term repercussions if I did not make a course correction. So that is what prompted me to do it. I mean, I've had other benefits from it. I think I'm the slimmest now that I've been since I was in my 20s, which is nice. I wasn't aiming for that, but it's nice. And I have a lot more energy. I used to absolutely need to sleep like 9 hours a night. Now I don't. I still try to sleep, 7.5 or 8 because
if you get short from that, you can use your natural energy.
Yeah. I don't feel horrible the next day. I don't feel like that hungover feeling the next day necessarily. So I have noticed the benefits that have made me want to keep on this track. And again, it's a personal choice for everyone. But if you are having cravings that are affecting the quality of your life and that you think may be affecting your long-term health, we definitely encourage you, again, get some blood work done, make sure what's going on, start drinking more water. That was the first thing that I did when I switched over from Diet Coke to iced tea originally. And then I just cut it down more and more water in the tea until it was just like basically water.
Yeah.
But that has made a huge difference in my skin, in my hair, my nails, like everything. And energy level, digestion. I mean, water is so important to every part of your body functioning. So drink more water, try to get enough sleep, get your blood work done, see if there's something underlying going on. If you think it will help you, it helped me. Keep a journal. And I'm not talking about like one of those diet apps where you enter every food that you ate and and it like tells you that you ate too much calories or whatever. Like that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about counting calories. I actually used one, I think it was called Chromometer. I will try to put it in the show notes, but I logged things in there, and instead of being a calorie counter, it told me how much percentage of my daily vitamin allowance or whatever that I got from like magnesium, iron, based on what I ate. So that was what I needed to know. I wasn't trying to hit a calorie deficit or something. I was actually trying to figure out how to get all the vitamins and minerals and protein and iron, everything, healthy fats that I needed from eating them instead of just trying to take a gummy vitamin or something. So that helped me. Again, everybody individual, you got to do what's best for you. But yeah, think about what we're talking about. If you think that if you have a craving that's new that you haven't had like your whole life, all of a sudden you're craving salty foods and that's never been the case before, maybe it is one of these deficiencies. Or if something has changed, your body just feels different, then by all means, we're the worst about going to the doctor for ourselves.
Yeah. Like if you could handle your breads before, but now all of a sudden you're more bloated for a while, or like going to the bathroom isn't the same, you could have an intolerance to something inside of it. And it has just shown up and you need to be aware of that.
Yeah. And you can buy those food sensitivity tests over the counter too. I know
sometimes we just don't want the news. Okay. No one wants to hear they can't have chocolate milk anymore. They can't have bread anymore. They're like, no one wants to know that they have a dairy intolerance. That's just the worst thing. Okay. So, but also can't ignore it. If you just keep going down this path, your body is going to reject it more and more and more and more. This is your body talking to you. So
if you think that you might have intolerances or allergies to something, if you're having some kind of strange reaction, you look up on Google an elimination diet and try that for a week. And you will be shocked at, I always thought, okay, my daughters have dairy intolerances. It affects their digestion and their stomach really bad. I've never had those symptoms. So I thought, I'm fine with dairy. And a few years back, I did this elimination diet. And when I added dairy back into my diet, it was one of the only things I reacted to, and I reacted to it by nasal congestion.
Yeah. I feel like if we react to it,
runny
it's
nose.
very minimal to where it's
was
not
very
like life
strange.
altering.
Yeah.
But yeah. Like I feel like my skin is really bad with dairy. Like if I eliminate dairy, it's probably better for my body, but it's not, I'm not keeling over. So I'm not
running to the bathroom. So, okay, I'm not lactose intolerant, but I actually had respiratory symptoms. Really? And I was like, oh, I always thought I had allergies from dairy. When I added dairy back into my diet, my nose got congested. I was sneezing, runny nose, like almost cold. And I've done it a few times to make sure that it wasn't just weird timing. And it always is the same. Now, that being said, I made the choice not to cut dairy out of my life completely. I do try to buy like lactose-free milk, things like, cause I still like cereal every once in a while. I'll have lactose-free milk.
You just don't have it as much.
I don't have it as much. And I'm not.
I would have assumed that was just allergies.
Symptoms.
I would have been like, I'm fine. It's just allergy season. I would have never put those two things together.
I hadn't. My whole life I hadn't. I mean, I know that sometimes I wake up with a lot of nasal congestion, but I never would have made that connection if I hadn't done an elimination diet.
Huh. I feel like I feel like I reject dairy in some way too, but I just like, it hasn't shown up enough for me to like be aware. So,
it's good that I have that information, that I know I have a mild sensitivity to dairy, but at the same time, like I can know that information and still make a choice not to eliminate it from my diet. Because for me, the hassle of cutting dairy out completely and the benefit of cutting dairy out completely, they weren't equal. So I don't eat a ton of dairy, but like, I'm not going to say, oh, I can't have that, I'm dairy intolerant. If they're serving something with dairy, or if I really feel like having it, I'll have it. It is what it is, you know? Mm-hmm. So this, again, everything we're talking about today is very much individual and personal. We're just giving you guys information. We are by no means experts.
We're just saying that there could be a much deeper reason to why you're going for that one particular type of thing every day or every other day or whatever. There could be a reason other than just how you're feeling. It could be meaning that you just need to pump up a certain vitamin or certain, that, and that's just good to know. Maybe just by simply doing that, it'll eliminate the hardness of the craving. Cause that's a big thing with people trying to get to like fitness goals. If they're trying to lose weight and if there's a way for them to fight that craving a little bit, it will help them stay better on track. Yeah. So if you just simply knew it was like a magnesium deficiency and you got that kind of regulated a little bit, then it might be easier to curb those cravings, as if that's something you're trying to do.
Yeah. And if you're curious about your blood sugar to see if it fluctuates during the day, which oftentimes for people presents as carb and sugar cravings, or like a afternoon dip in energy level. If you feel like you really need a nap, like around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or your energy just drops and you're running for a coffee or something to boost it. If you're curious about if that's related to blood sugar, those blood sugar testing strips you can buy at any pharmacy over the counter. They are not prescription. And it's just information. You're just giving yourself more information.
Know yourself more. That's all.
Yeah. About how food affects your body. Anyone who's ever been pregnant has had to take that glucose test, which is absolutely horrific.
Oh my God. Such PTSD came from that. I'm sorry.
It's so bad. There's like,
no way around it either.
If you have not taken that test, let me describe it to you. You have to drink a large bottle, like the size of this water bottle. And it is full, all of it to the very bottom. And it is full, mine was, of orange flavored syrup that is thick like maple syrup and cloyingly sweet. And the orange flavor is not good. So
I had the orange, but out of all of the choices, I think that's the best. Somebody said punch was the best. That was not the best.
Orange, I think, is the best. I've had it many times, but it's hard to get down.
Yeah.
And then you have to wait however long they tell you, and then they'll test your blood sugar and see how your body reacts to that sugary thing. Yeah. So what we're suggesting is a very mild version of that, where you eat a normal meal for yourself, whatever you normally eat, and then test your blood sugar afterwards. And then maybe test your blood sugar when you've fasted, like first thing in the morning before you've ingested anything, and see what that is. Mm-hmm. And the blood sugar monitors come with a little guide that tells you like what the normal range is for your age and gender. And so that's helpful. You can see, it's normal for it to go up after you eat. If it really spikes and then crashes later, then you might have some regulation issues with your blood sugar. You can talk to your doctor about it, or you can change your diet and see how that does. But it's interesting information, I think, to have.
It is. And we all kind of are aware that something is different inside. And, sometimes we feel like we can't do a thing about it, or we can't get to know what it is because it just might be too varied. It's a lot. It has to do with your food, I bet. So
yeah. One of the things I find interesting is that we all know what sugar does to children. Like we all will say, I'm not giving you that candy because you have to go to bed in an hour and you're going to be bouncing off these walls.
Yeah.
We make that connection when it comes to kids, but somehow us as adults, we think we're immune to it. And no, we are not.
No, we are not. It is very much the same.
Yes. All right. Well, we thank you guys as always for joining us. Hopefully this information helps you, was valuable to you. Please, again, share this podcast with people that you think would benefit from it. And if you take a minute to rate us, review us, follow us, we appreciate all of that. If you want to continue this discussion, we are always open-minded to that on our Facebook discussion group. We love to get your guys' comments and feedback. And we just appreciate every single one of you. Awesome. Every time, every week. So thank you guys for joining us. We will see you next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. Don't forget to bookmark our site, she'safullonmonet.com, and subscribe to our newsletter. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you're enjoying this podcast, it helps us a lot if you can follow, rate, and review. See y'all next week.